Now our focus with Cyclone Ockhi losing some of its severity. The storm is expected to make landfall in Gujarat and Maharashtra today. Mumbai and neighbouring Thane have been experiencing heavy rain as a result. Schools and colleges have been shut in Mumbai, Sindhudurg, Thane, Palghar and Raigad districts as a precautionary measure. The death toll has risen to 19 in rain-related incidents in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. The Indian Met Department has predicted very rough sea condition along North Maharashtra and South Gujarat coast. The Met Department has also predicted moderate rains at few places in Tamil Nadu and Puducherry today. Meanwhile, high tide alert has been issued along the coast in Karnataka. There are reports of 8 houses being damaged in Dakshina Kannada district due to impact of Cyclone Ockhi. 115 fishermen are reported to be missing off the Karnataka coast and efforts are being made to locate them. According to the reports, 690 fishermen have been rescued in combing operations carried out by Indian Navy, Coast Guard and Air Force. Kerala government has announced compensation of $1 million to the kin of those who lost their lives in the rain-related incidents. For more details, I'm joined by WION's Pragya Jha. Good morning, Pragya. Please give us more details. Schools in Mumbai are shut. How are the preparatory measures in place in Gujarat and Maharashtra?
In the wake of Cyclone Ockhi expected to make a landfall in South Gujarat and later on today, Maharashtra also has been sent on high alert. The state has been on a high alert to tackle the side effects of the stormy weather. And just yesterday, the Education Minister of the state, Vinod Tare, announced a precautionary holiday for today. This pertaining to all schools in the coastal districts of Palghar, Thane, Mumbai, Raigad, Ratnagiri and Sindhudurg. This again in the view of predictions for the cyclone. Also, after just yesterday, we observed and we witnessed heavy rainfall in Mumbai, Thane and Navi Mumbai area and the surrounding districts. There was intermittent rainfall showers since evening and dusk time, and they continued. There was slowing down of road traffic, which is essentially the lifeline of the city. The local trains, however, continue to function. The IMD has forecast rain with thunder showers in and around Mumbai, with squalls reaching 50 to 60 km per hour and touching 70 km per hour in the coastal areas over next 2 days. And the minimum temperatures continue to hover around 23 degrees centigrade in the city.
All right. Thank you so much, Pragya Jha, for that comprehensive update. Moving on, the Ayodhya dispute is one of India's longest-running legal battles. It's also one of the most politically charged. Weeks before the all-important Gujarat state elections, the Supreme Court is beginning a daily hearing on the matter starting today. Jessica Taneja is decoding what's going to be expected.
2010 saw a landmark judgment, Lord Ram's birthplace, the land on which Babri Masjid was constructed. The land that has been the subject of dispute for 7 decades in independent India was divided into 3 parts by a state court, one for each litigant. The decision was challenged, and now the country's top court is beginning daily hearing to resolve it once and for all.
कोर्ट से तो उम्मीद है सबके, पूरा हमको नहीं, पूरा देश की उम्मीद है कि कोर्ट पर विश्वास करता है, कोर्ट से उम्मीद है कि कोर्ट जल्द से जल्द निर्णय देगा.
So what is the Babri Masjid Ram Janmabhoomi case all about? It is believed that Lord Ram was born here 900,000 years ago in a room located under what was the central dome of the Babri Masjid. The masjid was built on the orders of Mughal Emperor Babur in the 16th century. It was demolished by Karsevaks or Hindu volunteers on December 6, 1992, sparking nationwide riots. Years of court cases and political bickering followed. On September 30, 2010, the Lucknow bench of the Allahabad High Court ordered an equal division of the land into 3 parts for the UP Sunni Central Waqf Board, the Nirmohi Akhada and Ramlalla, the deity. The order was challenged in the Supreme Court. In May 2011, the court stayed the decision, calling it a leap of faith. Since then, status quo has been maintained. The land remains disputed. A lone priest conducts prayers in the makeshift temple built at the site, a custom legitimized in the Ayodhya Act of 1993.
If it is held that it is Sunni Waqf, then only the Pandora box may be opened and the entire gamut of arguments may be held, because Shia people have already settled their dispute with the claimants of Mandir. Of course, with a rider that the government shall provide them 1 acre land, because there the total land is 2.7 acres and 1/3 the High Court said that works out to 0.9 acres.
The case has massive political ramifications. Constructing a Ram temple has been the ruling BJP's election promise for decades. The court's decision to revive criminal conspiracy charges against senior BJP leaders including L.K. Advani, Murli Manohar Joshi and Uma Bharti in the Babri Masjid demolition case only added fuel to the political fire over the Ayodhya dispute.
Just months ago, the UP Central Shia Waqf Board had said that they've reached a settlement with the non-Muslim stakeholders to construct the temple in Ayodhya, and said the board will undertake the expenses of constructing a mosque somewhere in Lucknow. If the settlement is reached and the Apex Court agrees, matters will be little different from here. But it is up to the Apex Court to decide on how it looks at the entire issue starting tomorrow. Jessica Taneja, WION, New Delhi.
Right, let's take a look at some other national stories. Tamil Nadu government observes first death anniversary of former Chief Minister and AIDMK Chief J. Jayalalitha. Exactly her demise, the fragile situation in the ruling AIDMK still persists, with the Palaniswamy government having a wafer-thin margin in the assembly. The National Investigation Agency questioned Hadia's husband Shafin Jahan days after the Supreme Court gave its nod to continue the probe. According to National Investigation Agency, Shafin Jahan, the husband of Hadia, was in touch with Islamic State members months before his marriage to Hadia. Rebel JDU MP Sharad Yadav and Ali Anwar have been disqualified from Rajya Sabha. Yadav has been at loggerheads with the Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar since he snapped ties with the RJD and Congress, and with a tie-up with BJP in July this year. Moving on, pursuing the leads available in Kazigand encounter in Jammu and Kashmir, security forces have gunned down a third terrorist while fourth has been caught alive in injured condition. The slain terrorist belonging to Lashkar-e-Toiba, believed to be behind this year's Amarnath Yatra terror attack. The encounter broke out yesterday at Kazigand in South Kashmir. 2 dead bodies of terrorists recovered yesterday. Fourth terrorist was arrested from a local maternity hospital with a Chinese pistol and live cartridges last night. This individual was missing since last 2 days from his house and had joined the Lashkar-e-Toiba recently. Investigation conducted so far has established that this individual was with 3 terrorists when the encounter took place and managed to escape from the site. Consequently, he took shelter at the hospital in Anantnag with the help of one of his associates. Bodies of 3 terrorists identified as Yawar, Abu Furqan and Abu Mawia have been recovered at the encounter site, along with weapons and ammunition. Abu Furqan, identified as a Pakistani terrorist, took over as divisional commander of Lashkar-e-Toiba after the elimination of Abu Ismail. The slain terrorists were involved in a series of terror crimes in Anantnag and Kulgam area of Kashmir. Earlier, we spoke to the DGP of Jammu and Kashmir, SP Ved. Let's listen in.
I was mentioning with the recovery of these 3 dead bodies of terrorists, 2 Pakistani nationals, Furqan and Abu Mawia, and 1 local Yawar. All these 4 terrorists who were involved in the attack on the Amarnath Yatris belonging to Lashkar-e-Toiba. Earlier, Abu Ismail, who was the commander, was eliminated and Furqan took over as a divisional commander of South Kashmir. So all these 4 terrorists who were involved in the Amarnath Yatra are now no more, have been eliminated. We have, pursuing the investigation, we have also arrested another local terrorist who had died a few days back, Rashid Ahmad Elahi, from maternity hospital near Anantnag in injured condition, and recovered a weapon from him.
And now news from Pakistan, where recently there have been some reports about ATM skimming fraud. Hundreds of Pakistani citizens have recently lost millions due to illegal withdrawal from ATMs. The fraudsters used skimmers to capture banking data of debit and credit cards. The money was withdrawn in China, while the transactions were made in Karachi and Islamabad. Officials say money has been withdrawn from over 500 ATM cards. People came to know of the theft after they were informed by the respective bank branches. Pakistan authorities are probing the matter and have also raised the matter with the Chinese authorities. Moving on, Pakistan has offered to work with India to bring down number of ceasefire violations at the line of control in an attempt to reduce civilian casualties. This is according to a report. Pakistan Foreign Minister Khwaja Asif has reportedly written to his Indian counterpart Sushma Swaraj to work together to end cross-border firing at the international border. According to reports, the Indian External Affairs Minister is yet to respond to the Pak Minister's letter. The Pakistani minister also accused India of indulging in repeated ceasefire violations. A Home Ministry data reveals that Pakistan violated ceasefire nearly 724 times along the line of control until October this year. Moving on, he came to Islamabad with the aim of finding common ground to fight terrorism. Hours after winding up talks with Pakistan's top civil and military leadership, US Defense Secretary James Mattis said, and I quote, "There is a need to build positive and continuous ties with each other. Pakistan and America need to find a common ground. The US is aware of sacrifices Pakistan has made in fighting terrorism. The purpose of my visit is to ensure a long-term alliance continues in future." Whether any common ground has been found is not clear, nor is it clear if Mattis read the riot act to the Pakistanis on their support of terrorism, or whether he decided to play safe and pat them on the back. Here's what Mattis said hours before landing in Islamabad.
They have lost hundreds, thousands of their troops killed and wounded by terrorists. They have lost hundreds, thousands of their innocent people murdered and wounded by terrorists. So we know that there's common ground.
What is clear is that both sides need each other. What the US wants. The US wants Pakistani cooperation in fighting the Taliban in Afghanistan. It wants Pakistan to crack down on the Haqqani network. The Haqqanis are seen as the force behind the Taliban. The US is dependent on Pakistan for movement of its logistics to Afghanistan. Now, what Pakistan wants from US? Pakistan is dependent on America for economic aid. It needs access to US markets for its exports. It needs US cooperation in securing low-cost loans. At all costs, Pakistan cannot afford to alienate Washington. Its fragile economy cannot withstand sanctions. Its budget making would collapse if the US withholds financial assistance. Nor can the military take on the US. Any generals have no illusions that China will come to Islamabad's aid if a military confrontation looms. The Mattis visit could be another attempt by the US to rebuild ties with an old ally. But there could be an element of frustration also over Islamabad's sponsoring of terrorism. Witness CIA Chief James Pompeo's warning has also said that Pakistan needs to end its terror havens. If it doesn't, then US will be forced to do so. There seems a little doubt that the US and Pakistan have drifted apart since the end of the Afghan jihad. Both have found new friends, the US with India, Pakistan with China. But old ties cannot be cast aside, not when the two still have need for each other.
So I'd like to congratulate.
In a major victory for President Donald Trump, the US Supreme Court has allowed his Muslim travel ban to go into full effect. Trump's travel ban targets people from 6 Muslim-majority countries, namely Chad, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Syria and Yemen, even as legal challenges continue in lower courts. The 9-member court, with 2 liberal justices dissenting, granted Trump administration's request to lift 2 injunctions imposed by lower courts that had partially blocked the ban. The travel ban is the third version of a contentious policy that Trump first sought to implement a week after taking office in January. Trump argues the travel ban is needed to protect America from terrorism by Islamic militants.
This is the protection of the nation from foreign terrorist entry into the United States. We all know what that means. Protection of the nation from foreign terrorist entry into the United States.
Moving on, an uprising is brewing in Palestine amid reports that US President Donald Trump will recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. This is something that no American president has done since the State of Israel was established 70 years ago. So is the US State Department staring at another diplomatic face-off? And what does it mean for the West Asia peace deal? Here's a detailed report.
The possibility of another diplomatic face-off is looming large for the White House. After his war of tweets with British Prime Minister Theresa May, a campaign promise might miff US President Donald Trump's close ally, Saudi Arabia. Donald Trump's plans to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital started off as a campaign pledge. But several media reports say Trump is keen on fulfilling his promise. This could potentially derail the president's ambitious plans to bring peace to West Asia. The diplomatic status of Jerusalem is one of the world's most contested issues. Both Israel and Palestine stake claim to it as their capital city. Jerusalem is home to holy sites for Jews, Christians and Muslims. If President Trump decides to take Israel's side, it will have an impact on America's ties with West Asia and even other Islamic nations around the world. Trump's decision could derail Jared Kushner's plans. The US president has put his son-in-law and advisor in charge of West Asia peace plan. In the past few months, Kushner has even paid a few visits to Saudi Arabia to hold talks with the senior leadership. That's why on Sunday, in a rare public interaction, Kushner made an attempt to calm some nerves.
What I'll say is that the president's going to make his decision, and
he hasn't made his decision?
He's still looking at a lot of different facts, and that when he makes his decision, he'll be the one to want to tell you, not me. So he'll make sure he does that at the.
The Palestinian president has issued a warning to America. Mahmoud Abbas fears that America's recognition of Jerusalem will jeopardize the peace talks. When Donald Trump visited West Asia in May this year, it was widely speculated that he would recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. A decision which has been hanging for 7 months could finally come to a head this week. Bureau Report, WION.
Moving on, the United Kingdom and the European Union have failed to reach an agreement to move to the next stage of Brexit talks. After a meeting with British Prime Minister Theresa May in Brussels on Monday, European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker told reporters that there are still some issues that need to be agreed upon.
Despite our best efforts and the significant progress we and our teams have made over the past days on the three main withdrawal issues, it was not possible to reach a complete agreement today. We stand ready to resume the negotiations with the United Kingdom here in Brussels later this week. I'm still confident that we can reach sufficient progress before the European Council of the 15th of December.
The talks are believed to have failed after the Northern Ireland's leading political party, Democratic Unionist Party, denied to accept concessions on the Irish border issue. The Democratic Unionist Party says it will reject any deal that gives it a different status from the rest of the UK. The talks are to be resumed this week. British Prime Minister May has said that she is confident it would end on a positive note.
We have been very clear. Northern Ireland must leave the European Union on the same terms as the rest of the United Kingdom, and we will not accept any form of regulatory divergence which separates Northern Ireland economically or politically from the rest of the UK. And the economic and constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom must not be compromised in any way.